Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Welcome, one and all. It is another episode of Side Quests from Fun and Games podcast. I am Jacob, and I am so excited to be like the temporary host here and to talk about one of my favorite games of all time, and that game is Cuphead. A little bit about me. By day, I am a professor of Latin American literature. By night, I moonlight as a really avid gamer. And folks, I'm just so excited to talk about Cuphead. This game, it means so much to me for a lot of reasons, but part of the reason why I introduced myself and what I do professionally is because Cuphead, it came out in 2017, and that is when I was in grad school. I was actually doing my doctorate work on Cold War politics and environmentalism in Central America, and I was going through a really, really difficult time in my life. I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with writing a dissertation. I was being a father, being a husband. I had really young kids. They were just, under 3 years old. I had a baby, and things were really, really difficult for me. And Cuphead came along. So this is a game that is developed and self-published by Studio MDHR. And I remember just seeing this game, kind of just scrolling on social media. It recently had come out, and I was enthralled. There's something about the art direction here, this very early 20th century cartoony style with these super lovable characters, Cuphead and Mugman. And I just thought to myself, holy cow, this game looks incredible. I really want to be able to play this. And, it just so happened that Cuphead released on Xbox One. And I had an Xbox One. I was like, good, this is on the platform that I have. And so I'm super excited to play this game. And eventually I got it. And I knew going into it that it was going to be tough. That was one of the words most associated with Cuphead is that it is tough. It is hard. This is a game that is going to make you pull out your hair. And the reason why I hold this game so near and dear to my heart for this personal reason is because it was helping me take my mind off of what I was trying to juggle in my personal and my professional life. And it put me through the ringer, and it helped me sort of develop the skills to persevere and to just go all the way to the end and beat something, right? And so Cuphead was one of these games that was super inspirational for me as I was dealing with something really difficult to be able to win, to have a victory at a time in my life where it felt like victories and goal completion were so far off and so impossible. And so a few things I want to talk about here with Cuphead. One, obviously the art direction is phenomenal, extremely unique. This is one of those games that you see a screenshot of it anywhere, any part of the game, and it is immediately identifiable. And I just remember sort of going through this game and feeling really proud of myself in Aisle 1, being able to take down some of these bosses. But one thing that really stood out to me is that this game, in order to complete it, you must defeat all the bosses on normal mode. But there is an easy mode. And in easy mode, it sort of gives you the basics of how a boss fight is going to operate. It shows you the majority of their moves, the majority of their phases. Things are slowed down just a little bit. And I just love that this game comes with sort of the training wheels in place. And then when you beat a boss on easy mode, it just prepares you that much more for normal mode. And so I just love how the game sort of scaffolds its difficulty. Yes, this game is crazy difficult, but it allows you sort of an entry into the difficulty that Cuphead has to offer. And honestly, this is something that I think about quite a lot when I'm designing assignments. Scaffolding is a technique that's used in education to sort of build upon a project so a student feels like they are making good progress, that they're learning, that they're making revisions along the way. And I just love how Cuphead sort of had this pedagogical model sort of baked into its difficulty. And it's funny, to this day, I'm creating new assignments and I use scaffolding a lot. And I can't help but to think of how Cuphead's scaffolded difficulty to get the player moving forward. And by the time that you beat Cuphead, you are such an immensely improved player. I feel like Cuphead is one of these games that taught me so much about improving my coordination, being much more aware of what's on screen, checking for visual cues as well as audio cues, all sorts of different things to sort of indicate what it is that you could do to survive. And so I just love how this game brought like a much better sensory awareness when I play video games now. Funnily enough, I was playing a lot of Destiny 2 when I was first playing through Cuphead. And I think that Cuphead actually made me better at PvP because it taught me a lot more about situational awareness and just reading different cues as you're going through a game. So Cuphead, I think I owe a lot of my PvP skills, not so much in Destiny these days, but in other PvP games. A lot of those skills I was able to hone in the environment of Cuphead. I think one of the greatest things about Cuphead, in addition to the difficulty scaffolding, is at the end of each boss run or any of the run and gun levels, there will be sort of an indicator of how far into the level you progressed. And being able to get that type of feedback and knowing how well you performed in a level and what you could do to improve and maybe help you predict what is coming later in the level. This is super, super crucial with boss fights because sort of along this, it looks like a timeline, and then you'll have the figure of Cuphead, his silhouette running towards a flag. It will also indicate different phases in boss fights. So just being able to get that much information, I felt like the game is constantly buoying you up and pushing you as a player to improve and to perform better, and then just have that sweet relief when you finally beat a boss. I'm not one to throw controllers. I'm not one usually to scream at the TV. But let me tell you, the moment I beat Cuphead, when I finally defeated the devil and I was hitting credits, it was one of the few times where I just launched out off the couch, straight up in the air. I made sure to set the controller down, and I just started fist pumping wildly because I was able to achieve something that was so difficult. Cuphead, I think the original run from beginning to end took me about 40 hours to complete. And if you go on howlongtobeat.com, that is well above the average. This game took me so much time. Grim Matchstick and Dr. Kahlo's Robot, worst bosses for me. Those bosses are so freaking difficult. But Cuphead, just to reiterate and to kind of come back full circle, this game was one that really helped me a lot. Just realized that I was much more than what I thought I was. It pushed me to be better. It pushed me to think more highly of myself. It made me realize that I had value. Made me realize that I was capable, that I could persevere, and that through determination, I can complete difficult things. And 2 years later, I completed my dissertation and I graduated. And now I have a job as a professor. So I'm super grateful for what Cuphead did for me in that way. Sort of changing gears slightly, the last thing I'd like to say about Cuphead is that while Cuphead is not perfect when it comes to sort of the perpetual discourse surrounding difficulty and easy mode, etc., I do wish that we would bring Cuphead more into that conversation because of the easy mode that is there for all the bosses so that you can complete normal mode and progress in the game. I do think that Cuphead has pitfalls when it comes to accessibility and disabled bodies, but I think for gamers, Cuphead's difficulty scaffolding is a hallmark really of how to be able to push players up and how to support them and buoy them up and teach them different things about what the game is offering you so that you can achieve the more difficult parts of the game. So obviously I'm a big fan of Cuphead. The DLC, the second that thing was available for pre-order, you can bet that I had it. Unfortunately, I have not quite yet 100%ed Cuphead. That's still a goal of mine, but thanks to my past with Cuphead and thanks for what Cuphead's taught me, I know that it might take me a long time. It might take me a lot longer than other people, but that I have the skill and I have the determination to be able to do something as difficult as 100% Cuphead. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special episode for me of Side Quests. Thank you so much to Fun and Games Podcast. Please check them out. They are incredible people, and I love what they're doing with their podcast. Happy gaming.
Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone?
There
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.